Good afternoon and good morning. This is Jamie Hall from Loyalty 360. Welcome you to our sneak peek into our 2014 Loyalty Expo sessions and workshops. Today we have Jeff Nicholson, Vice President of Provenir. His session is titled The New Look into Loyalty. Digital, social, mobile, and real-time delivers 5-time results. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, great to be here.
All right, let's jump into our first question here. What challenge have you seen in the last 5 years from traditional card-based loyalty programs to real-time digital, mobile, and social loyalty programs?
Oh, sure. There's quite a lot to that question, and it's a couple interesting answers to it. One is the art of the possible. The possibilities have simply changed because simply customers are more connected than they ever have been. I think the most important thing is what do you do with that change? And what we see our brands are looking to tap into a younger, more youthful demographic in these loyalty programs. And in the session, we're going to be covering one such brand that sought to make that change. They wanted to tap into a very youthful market. Of course, they're very social savvy. They're always carrying their mobile phones with them at all times. They are ones that are not as willing as perhaps the consumers of the past to be carrying around a lot of these cards that a lot of us might be used to, but this younger demographic they're looking to get into, they don't see the need to be carrying these massive wallets full of all these loyalty cards anymore. In fact, they expect the brands to be able to pivot around them and use some of this new technology so that the onus isn't any longer on the consumer, but on the brand. And that's what these new programs enable to finally have happen. So now consumers, wherever they are able to engage with a loyalty program just simply using the device that they already own.
Great. With the continual growth of multiple touch points, why should brands start to continue to engage with consumers in real time?
Well, I think as the touch points continue to expand, only does the need for brands to operate in real time. But the challenge is that these constantly connected consumers that have the mobile devices that are using multiple screens at the same time, they're expecting the business to be able to move with them across these touch points. When they use them at the same time, therein lies the need for this real-time connectivity across the systems. The challenge is that most brands are saddled with infrastructure that was never designed to work together. The call center was made by one system vendor, the CRM by another, the web content management system by yet another provider, the mobile app by yet another, your point of sale by yet another, and the list goes on. And these were just simply never, ever designed from the first place to be able to work together, just by a byproduct of how they've been assembled over time. And some are brand new, and some you've had for almost a decade in some cases. So the new challenge is for brands, not how do we rebuild from the ground up, but rather how do we get all this infrastructure that we already own, perhaps with a couple new pieces, to work together in real time so that we can now move with this connected customer. And that's where the new opportunity lies.
What challenges and opportunities have you come across helping brands engage in real time?
Well, it's interesting. A lot of it has to go to where do we start? Where is it realistic and practical for me to begin to bring these things together in real time? And in the past, it had been a very complex initiative to get these things going. It had been a very laborious process to code and manually bring channels and touch points and experiences together. But also time. The business cases were very long and drawn out to build and justify, which is frankly why you see a lot of organizations still on the sidelines. The ones that are not yet doing anything with real time, it's not that they don't see the benefits, it's that they think it's going to be far too difficult to justify and far too long to get there, that they're just simply not acting. And that's why these new approaches that are here today, which we're going to talk about during the session, the ones that are completely cloud-based, that allow you to connect to the existing systems and infrastructure, not have to wait for a new one to be built, and create in a test and learn approach new customer journeys across these systems that are very easy to configure and produce a lot of data so you understand what's working and what isn't. It's allowing organizations to get going immediately and, again, get off the sidelines.
Now, I know you'll probably talk about this in your session, but have you seen those kind of results that the people, the brands that are on the sidelines are looking for?
Well, yeah. And I suppose that's the interesting thing that we're going to talk about during the session. Ultimately, it's about what did we get out of it. And as the title says, some of the results are up to 5 times what the prior strategies were. So we're going to be discussing a card-based loyalty program that wanted to go and get into this younger audience and attract more of that to their locations. And by replacing it with this new program that was digital, mobile, social, real-time, all together, the results were about 5 times, actually north of 5 times what the prior one was, for signups. So the number of signups into the system were 5 times the prior. Where the real rubber met the road, in my view, was the revenue. So signups are nice, but can you have your loyalty scheme actually change customer behavior to get them to spend money that they wouldn't have otherwise spent? And the results were incredible. And the client tells us that the revenue incrementally that was brought in from this program during the first week alone was equal to the cost of the project. So it's no longer these lengthy payback terms or statements of people that say they can get a payback, inside of 12 months. We can't wait for that as businesses anymore. We need to rethink the types of investments we're making. They should be not infrastructure we have to buy, but services we can subscribe to and things that allow us, again, to connect to the systems we do have so we don't have to start from the ground up again. So the results were incredible because of all those dynamics I just mentioned all working together. The business model, the deployment model up in the cloud, and the ability to work with the existing infrastructure to produce that great result where, again, in about a week, the incremental revenue brought in by the program equaled the cost of that pilot project. So phenomenal result.
Great. Well, thank you, Jeff. And one quick question for you, a final question, I should say. If you had to pick one thing for participants to walk away with from your session, what would it be?
It's understanding where to start. So it's going to be an exact example of an organization that probably fought the same challenges that you're fighting right now and was struggling with the same issues. How do I get started? Is it really as difficult as all of that I'm thinking today? And what are the best practices and considerations when I'm going to now consider getting into the game? And how fast can I get those returns? And what are the ways that I begin to break this down into manageable chunks? And that's what we're going to be covering. We're going to be covering that from the actual journeys that are crafted. What are the right ways to begin to assemble these journeys? We're going to be discussing it from the right way to approach our infrastructure and what infrastructure can be reused and what perhaps do we want to add to the mix. And what, for example, did this brand add to the mix to really make it this engaging loyalty program and not just digitally enabling old infrastructure. It's much, much more.
Great. Well, thank you, Jeff, for sharing your wonderful insight with us and helping participants get a sneak peek into your session, The New Look of Loyalty. We look forward to hearing you share at the 2014 Loyalty Expo on March 17th through the 19th.
Looking forward to seeing you there.
Great. Thanks, Jeff.